recapping baseball, softball, men's tennis in the Sweet 16 right now. And now we've got Phil Elson on the show, the voice of the Arkansas Lady Razorbacks and the voice of the Arkansas baseball team, which I'd be remiss if I didn't ask about that at some point too. Phil, thanks for joining us today. Pleasure to have you on.
Hi, Drake. Yeah, it's good to talk to you, man. How are you doing?
Oh, look, it's been, you've been in Arkansas long enough to know, and you're a Pittsburgh guy originally. They didn't invent Wi-Fi here until about 2 or 3 years ago. So it's doing remote shows has been a bit of a challenge.
Well, Wi-Fi is a wonderful invention. Internet is a wonderful invention, but it still ends up frustrating you with radio every once in a while, and there's just nothing you can do about that.
It's the new normal, especially with COVID, having to do a lot of remote stuff. But at least we're learning. At least we're making strides there. You know, Phil, we got you on today to talk Tari Cummings, who's at Baylor University now as an assistant women's basketball coach, coming from the University of Arkansas Fort Smith. She was at the University of Arkansas as an assistant for a long while under Coach Collins, Nikki Collins' husband, Tom Collins, and really, you know, for you, your immediate reaction to Coach Cummings being in Waco is this a solid hire that Baylor's put together?
Well, there's no doubt. I got to know Tari a little bit when she coached for Jimmy Dykes. She was that coaching staff that worked for Tom the last year he was at Arkansas. Mostly was held intact by Jimmy Dykes. For at least the next year. And Tari was there for a couple of years after. And she is she's a terrific basketball coach. And she established herself as a head coach at UAFS. This is not a surprise at all to see her, working at one of the top programs in the country, B, working for Nikki Collins, who I think she had a really good relationship with Tom, and therefore Nikki too. And also it's not just because of, their relationship. She's a really good basketball coach. She's a terrific communicator, a very strong recruiter, especially in the, Baylor's a national recruit, but she knows the area of Arkansas, Missouri, Texas, Oklahoma extremely well. So, it's a great hire by Nikki Collins, no doubt.
Phil, when you think Tari Cummings, there are a lot of coaches that'll build theirs. So you have a great recruiter like Chris Beard may build his staff with some more X's and O's coaches. When it comes to Tari Cummings, is she really recruiting based or more on the X's and O's side of things from what you saw of her in Fayetteville?
I think she's both. You kind of have to be both. And I say that I don't know Nikki Collins' style of head coaching. So a lot of it will be what is expected of her based on how Nikki will run her first college basketball program. So, what I know from Tari is that she's both. She focused at Arkansas on post players, and the first year that I was at Arkansas, she had they had a team that wasn't very deep, but played with a lot of heart. They had undersized forwards in Jasmine Bowen and Melissa Wolf that got better as the season went on. And a lot of it was because of I think of Tari's coaching in some aspects, and that team actually played at the Waco Regional that year, beat Northwestern in the first round of the NCAA tournament, and then got beaten by a Baylor team that I think went on to win the national title that season. So, and there wasn't much that they would have been able to do against Baylor in that game. But I think Tari really improved Arkansas's post play that year specifically. Now, those players were gone after that season ended, and things didn't get better the next 2 years under Jimmy. I don't think it wasn't anything that Tari did. I don't think it was her fault at all. And I think that's been proven that she went on to establish herself outside of the Razorback program as a head coach, and will get a chance to do the same in the Big 12 at, the dominant program in the Big 12.
Phil, in your experience with Tari, you know, Baylor looks for culture coaches when it comes to either head coaches or assistants, those that fit the mold and have a community basis, that want to be involved, want to be active, want to be developers of not just athletes, but human beings and productive members of society. When it comes to Tari and a culture standpoint in being around her, what is she like?
Oh, she's extremely personable. I mean, I think she's exactly what you're talking about. She's a good person. She's a wonderful mother. She's raised a daughter that is, I think, getting ready, if not hasn't already entered college. In fact, she did. Yeah, she plays college basketball right now. That's right. I think at Oral Roberts. And I think Tari's a wonderful person. She's somebody that's going to be. I'm not going to tell you she's like some community leader or anything like that, but she's a positive member of the community. That's what I remember her being like, and got along with the coaches and all the players. And I mean, if you want somebody that's going to add to whatever your culture is going to be at whatever program, I don't think she'd be a great choice. She's a wonderful person.
Her being a head coach too, and what you've seen in the game of women's basketball, what kind of experience does that add for an assistant who can go from the head coaching ranks at any level and then offer their abilities as an assistant in a program?
I guess it's the understanding of being in the head coach's shoes and knowing what it's like to have to make the final decision on every say. Not just in the game itself, but in the process of running a program. You know, all the hundreds to thousands of little decisions that a head coach makes in a program. And I think you see a lot of coaches. We see it at Arkansas here. Eric Musselman has a coaching staff that's made up almost entirely of men that have had head coaching positions. And, you know, it's interesting for Nikki Collins because, I mean, she's a seasoned basketball coach and coached in college too, just not as a head coach. So, I'm not telling you that she's bringing Tari on to lean on her for decisions or anything like that, but she is coming from a different perspective of someone that has run a college basketball program, and it's been from the JUCO ranks. So, it's just an interesting set of experiences for one coach to have, and Tari brings a lot from that. And so it's, I think it's interesting when head coaches want to bring other head coaches as their assistants, because they know that people that understand the difficulties of making those big decisions sometimes are the best advisors.
Phil, along with it, for yourself, being someone that's covered women's basketball, especially in this region for a while now, when you think about Kim Mulkey leaving Baylor to go to an SEC job, to be at LSU, and just your assessment of that in general, after 21 years in Waco, what was your reaction to Mulkey taking a step away from the program to go to LSU?
I mean, it's unprecedented. I mean, you don't need me to tell you that. Everybody listening here knows that. It's shocking. Shocking in a way that when you think about it, it ends up making sense because of, I believe her when she said that this would have been the only job that she would have left for, and it was the right moment to do it. And you got to jump on those moments if you feel like that's the time to make a change. And this is the right place to do it and the only place to do it. So it's an opening for her to create a legacy that has never been done before. And you'll have an opportunity in the SEC, with the kind of athletes that you can attract to any of the programs, to get back. No, I'm not telling you you're going to be, perennial Final Four the way that Baylor was, or win 3 national championships. But LSU women's basketball, I guess you've always felt like, could be a little bit better than they have been in the last few years. And they have the star power now to bring in that kind of talent and depth. And it's really what they've lacked more than anything is depth. So, it's going to be interesting to see her going up against, Dawn Staley, and to go up against, Mike Neighbors, who I know quite well. the rest of the coaches in this league that it's really, really a great league. So she kind of fits right in, but in a way that just can't imagine anybody that's ever won that many championships just has to, now go establish a new legacy somewhere else, just like that out of the blue. So that's really what's so amazing.
Phil, on the other side of that, we've gotten a lot of different reactions about the Nikki Collins hire at Baylor from outside and inside sources. And she won the press conference. Obviously, she did a really good job of winning the press conference, has already kept the nucleus of players together at Baylor. But for you, again, someone who follows women's basketball, when you heard the name Nikki Collins tied to the Baylor job and officially receiving the Baylor job, what were your thoughts?
It made sense. It made sense in terms of someone that has coached as in the WNBA and has lots of connections in college basketball and has worked in the college game before, to see an opening like that and think, you know what, I think I'd like to give that a try. And why, if for Baylor to reach out to someone in the pro game, makes perfect sense too. I mean, it seems like from an outsider's perspective, it looks like a good marriage. Nikki's very, very intelligent and very energetic, and brings with her a wealth of experience and good coaches, and is going to get talent there. It's just a matter now. She hasn't had to recruit for a while, so that's going to be the test, I guess, more than anything else.
Well, Phil, I want to thank you for your perspective that you brought on Nikki Collins, Kim Mulkey leaving, and then Tari Cummings coming to Baylor as an assistant coach. And before we get you out of here, in between listening to Baylor baseball games, I on the drive in this weekend, I put on some Arkansas games and got to hear the Tennessee series. And folks locally, now that Baylor's really starting to get hot, have paid attention more so to baseball and really paid attention to Arkansas with the hopes that Baylor's not sent to the Fayetteville region, but seemed like quite the series against Tennessee this past weekend for a baseball team that I don't know if I've seen a team as good as this at Arkansas yet.
Well, I've never seen a team have 12 winning weekends in a row to start the season. They haven't had one losing weekend yet, and it's been against really good teams, really from start to finish, and finish includes playing against Florida this weekend in Fayetteville. It's amazing. Tennessee's a really good team. That's a team that feels complete, that might need a little bit of extra help in the bullpen. Arkansas is a team that just knows how to win games. I don't know any other way to put it. And have a relief pitcher in Kevin Kopps, who leads the nation in ERA at 0.8, that I've never seen something quite like what he's doing this year, and has become the most valuable player for this team as a relief pitcher. And they're a heck of a lot of fun. This series against Tennessee was 3 one-run games in an atmosphere that I don't think the fans at Tennessee had experienced in a long time. And all Arkansas did was just kind of show what they've done all season long. Go into tough places that are filling their stadiums and win. They've won 5 road series in the SEC. I mean, that's ridiculous. To win 5 road series in any baseball conference is going to be nuts, but to do that in Baton Rouge and Oxford and Starkville and South Carolina and now at Knoxville, and they've also won 2 out of 3 in Ruston against Louisiana Tech. Arkansas did. Those are 4 cities that very well could be hosting regionals. It's crazy how good this team is at just winning games, and it makes it a lot of fun.
Well, Phil, I love watching winning, and I love it too when, as someone that grew up a Razorback fan, and a lot of listeners know, but maybe Baylor baseball, hopefully they avoid the Fayetteville region and get about as far away as possible from Arkansas coming into the postseason. Phil, before we get you out of here, got our Bear Games question of the day today. This one's a little more convoluted. My co-host came up with it. But our question for all the callers and guests today is that if you're given the aux cord to play a song at an event, what is the first song that you're playing? And second, what is the event at which you're most likely to be handed an aux cord?
Oh, well, that was what I was going to ask. What event are we talking about here? Because that has to decide the sort of music you're going to play. I think that I'd get the aux cord at one of two places. Either a baseball park at a minor league baseball game or at my daughter's bat mitzvah, which is next summer. One of those two things. And it's going to be different music for both of them. You can't play the same music at a college baseball game that you're going to play at a bat mitzvah. So if I'm handed the aux cord at a baseball park, is this a certain time of the day? Is this a certain time of the game? There's certain situations you play certain music. Is this walk-up music? Is it the seventh inning stretch? What time of the day is it?
Wow. I'll give you this. It is 7:45. You've been in a rain delay for 15 minutes, and they've just let you know they're not resuming play until 9. You're in the 7th inning.
The Rain Song by Led Zeppelin.
Nice. Not I Love a Rainy Night by Eddie Rabbitt.
That eventually will come on, because if that's the case, then we're going to have a whole string of rain music. But the Rain Song by Led Zeppelin is one of my favorite songs from one of my favorite albums, which, if I remember correctly, would be Houses of the Holy. And yes, so I would go with the Rain Song at that moment.
I love it. And Phil, your bat mitzvah song, because I gotta know your one bat mitzvah song you get. What are you throwing in?
Well, it's my daughter's bat mitzvah, and so I know she loves Dua Lipa, so it's going to be Levitating.
Wow. Hey, I'm here for it. I am here for Levitating by Dua Lipa and DaBaby at the bat mitzvah coming up next year. Phil Elson, thanks so much for joining the show today, giving us perspective again on women's basketball.